Yo, what's going on, guys? And yes, we're back. Year 3 or 4 of doing this. If it's your first time coming to the channel, welcome. I'm Cyro Asseo. I do multimedia journalism for hoopshype.com. But we've been doing this YouTube channel now for several years steady. And this time of year, always once we get into the dog days of summer, we like to do our off-season recaps. We do all 30 teams. And then that's when we get into our previews and predictions in the next series after we do these 30 teams. And of course, alphabetically, unless there's a reason to skip a team, like we might avoid doing Chicago and Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, Cam Thomas's situation doesn't bother me as much as Josh Giddey, just because they're restricted free agents are like the whole thing that their summer is holding up on. But either way, the Hawks' summer has come to what seems like vacation time, and rightfully so. The way that I would, if we needed to put a synopsis, a summary, explain the TLDR of this year. New GM, Ansi Salah, is brought in. Landry Fields is ousted, not because he's a bad guy, but because they needed someone who could take a team that was in a pivotal offseason where they finally have a good roster that, if all things go right, could be a top 6 seed in a dark horse contender. And the way that they did it, it allowed them to have cap flexibility and not be handcuffed to this squad for several years. And that's where snaps go to Ansi Salah and co. Now, let's look around and look at what they did this year. The big move. They got themselves Kristaps Porzingis for Terrence Mann and George Niang. They basically turned the minivan and Terrence Mann into an all-NBA caliber player. A player who's an NBA champion. A player that, yes, he had a mysterious illness, but if he's healthy, he's the unicorn, the original, the 7'3" monster who's going to be a lob threat and a 3-and-D guy for the Hawks. Quinn Snyder's a great coach, one of the top 10 best coaches in the NBA, and you just gave him a weapon. Take a sip of coffee. But what else did they do? A draft day trade with the Pelicans that nobody could believe that was going to happen. Got them the 2026 unprotected first of New Orleans. And they also got Asa Newell, who was shooting 43% on almost 4 attempts from 3, over 3 attempts a game from 3. Looking like he can play the 4 and 5 as a switch big. Kind of got a little bit of Nick Claxton in him. They also signed Caleb Houstan, a really good combo forward who can stretch the floor. Yes, he's played limited minutes, but I think that's kind of like this little like bargain deal that could be better than you'd think. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they got on a sign-in trade, one of the top free agent prospects, and Luke Kennard on a 1-year deal, guy who can be a secondary playmaker but is a 40% three-point shooter who's going to be a marksman for this team that they needed. Now, as my nose itches, no blow, but what I'm very curious to think or to look at this squad, they're not even in the luxury tax. That's the craziest part. And they got themselves a boost. So 4-year, $62 million deal for nickeil Alexander-Walker, which wasn't actually the full mid-level exception. They still have like $3 million left in there, and they still have their biannual. They brought in Luke Kennard on a $11 million deal, and he was one of, if not the best catch-and-shoot shooter this past year. A 39% career three-point shooter. And I know someone's going to be like, well, he only takes 3.5 attempts a game. Well, 2.8 of those attempts per game are threes. The other half attempt is just a dunk or a layup. And it's on a 1-year flyer, baby. Now, that's just good value. And that might be just because I'm Jewish. But the 3 things I know, values, bagels, and guilt. And this is what they've done very well this offseason. And I very much have enjoyed what they've done because the team is deeper, as you guys are going to see in a second. Right now, the depth chart. Yeah, what do you guys think of these transitions? Tell me, by the way, guys, if you haven't already, what do you think of this new setup? I'm right now in the moving offices, of course. Also, one of my hard drives got messed up, so I'm trying to recover that. AKA the touchback. We have like a project we're doing together, and I got to like email him this, but so much is going on in my life that I haven't been able. Right now that I'm saying this, I'm going to do this right after this video and email you, Cheyenne, but I got to recover that. Either way, Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Richiche, Jalen Johnson, and Kristaps Porzingis makes up the starting lineup. By the way, I can't wait to be next month in Latvia. I'm going to be at Eurobasket covering it. Yeah. September 5th to September 15th. Knockout tournament and finale. Be there. Be square. Just kidding. Just watch my videos. Vit Krejci and Kobe Buffkin round out the point guard rotation. I do think if they can bring in like a Corey Joseph, it would make me a little bit happy. Or whatever other veteran that you think would be useful for them. Just nothing. I actually love it, Krejci, and he can play the 1, the 2, or the 3s, like 6'8", a Swiss Army knife, two-way player who loves to play defense. Kobe Buffkin's played 27 games. We just need, and he's looked solid. Can do a little bit of everything. He's a big guy. Can play on or off ball. But it's health. Nikola Vucevic was also brought back. I like him. He's another guy who can play 1 or 2 and the 3. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels. All these guys can give you some extra playmaking. You're Rocky and Wallace back on a two-way. Jacob Toppin and is it Eli or Ellie? I think it's Eli. But I'm going to go. And do you pronounce the D? Because a lot of times you don't. And because then it would be Daye. Someone tell me that. Mo Gay, Onyeka Okongwu, Asa Newell, Luke Kennard, Kristaps Porzingis make out the bench. Like this is like right here. If you look at it, just right here. Even if Buffkin and Mo Gay are your 11th and 12th guys, 9. Vit Krejci, 8. Asa Newell, 7. Well, I'm losing. I think I lost count. 12. Kobe Buffkin or Mo Gay. Kobe Buffkin's 11. 10 will go Vit Krejci. 9 will go Asa Newell. 8 will go Onyeka Okongwu. 7 will go Luke Kennard. 6 will go Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And then you get into your starting 5 of Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Richichet, which right there, 6'9", 7'3", 6'6" dude next to Dyson Daniels, and then you're 6'1", aka probably 5'11". Like I've stood next to Trae Young. I'm 6'1". I'm like an inch taller than the guy. I would probably be listed 6'2" in the NBA, but I'm like 6 foot and half an inch barefoot. 6'1" with shoes on. But it's a solid squad we see right here. So what are the questions? What are the questions we have right here if we're looking at the rest of the team? Obviously, there's things that need to be addressed. I think that they have 12 dudes that can play basketball. A lot of people do need to take the steps forwards, and the excitement here is that the steps forward are going to be good. Now, there is a new front court. They have Porzingis and Jalen Johnson. Coming off a torn labrum shoulder surgery, Jalen Johnson and Porzingis also. 2 guys that just need to stay healthy. But if they stay healthy at the 4 and the 5, they have 2 guys who their stocks combined are giving you like 7+ stocks a game over the last season. Then you have a spot starter and a high energy backup that, depending on the matchup, could be a starter or just come off the bench next to or alongside or for Kristaps Porzingis and Jalen Johnson. And that is Onyeka Okongwu. And he was inked to a really good value deal that if you're a fan of this team, you're stoked that they have him here for the foreseeable future. And if all things don't work out with Kristaps Porzingis, you don't extend him. He's having Onyeka Okongwu remain as your center next year. So it's really no risk at all for this team. Now, the backcourt has been reset. You brought in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels are 2 point-of-attack defenders who perfectly complement Trae Young being a scoring-heavy guard. Then you have Krejci and Buffkin who could provide extra secondary playmaking. I do think, as I've said before, a Corey Joseph, maybe even Markelle Fultz if you don't want that. There isn't really that great of a point guard market. I mean, a Monte Morris could be also thrown in there, but basically this team has put it together, but it hasn't put themselves in a financial risk because, owner Tony Ressler does not like to spend money, and that is a 5-year, $150 million extension. Kicks in this year. They also gave Dyson Daniels an extension. These trades have actually allowed the Hawks to create 3 trade exceptions totaling over $20 million. Obviously, they can only use one at a time, one of them being actually $13 million, so the other like 6 and the other one being 3. A lot of value. They still have the full access to a biannual exception, and $3.1 million remains in their non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which can be used in a trade. So their salary cap used currently is $186 million, which they're like below just under $4 million below the luxury tax. They're significantly, I think, almost $10 million before, over $10 million below the first apron. So they're in a position that they don't have to be worried about money, which, again, we've said it before. Tony Ressler doesn't like that. Tony Ressler does not like spending money, guys. He's a guy who does not like spending money. And by the way, I have monitors in front of me, so if you see me look left or right or anything, that's because of that. But what you guys got to understand this year, it's rental or future. This team's either going to be a one-year rental or some guys are going to be gone. Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis, probably the two most likely names to be moved if this does not work. But if it does work, they push the chips together. They say, hey, Trae Young, we built you the best team, if not a better team than that Eastern Conference run team. You swapped out some players for Porzingis, giving you a lot more size, shooting, and long-term plays while betting on this young Daniels chemistry and Porzingis health and the Zachary Ricochet and Jalen Johnson development. And obviously the success hinges on not just the rookie impact of Asa Newell, my apology, but the development of Zachary Ricochet, who's going from his rookie year to his second year, Jalen Johnson. And to me, that's the biggest thing when we look at this. I just wanted to make sure that everything was in focus. But I think once Sala, or I guess that's a typo, it's supposed to be Ansi Sala, but Ansi Sala is going to test this roster to see if it's worth investing long term or that it needs a retooling. And that's what we're seeing right here. And I think this is a great team, and it could really do some impressive stuff. So that's where I want to hear your guys' thoughts if you made it to the end of the video. I really do appreciate your guys' opinions. It does mean a lot. And if you made it here, you clearly like this content. So hit that like and subscribe button. Go check out my work at hoopshype.com and subscribe. It really means a ton, helps out the channel, and makes me know that you're enjoying this. Same thing by hitting that like button and leaving a comment. Cheers, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. Bye.